Hello and welcome to the 2026 Black History Month series from Truth Be Told. We want to tell you today about an amazing man in a story we call From Soul to Soldier. His name is Garland H. White. It's around 1836 and a little boy named Garland White is taken from his mother and sold on the auction block in Richmond, Virginia. He's sold to a man from Georgia named Robert Toombs. Mr. Toombs takes Garland back to Georgia with him, but he is eventually elected to the United States Congress, and he moves with Garland to Washington, D.C., and moves in just a few doors down from a man named William Seward. Mr. Seward's name might be familiar to you. He would eventually become the Secretary of State under Abraham Lincoln, and he was pivotal in the acquisition of Alaska from Russia, which is why Seward, Alaska is named after him. Well, he was also an abolitionist, and he helped Garland escape from his enslaver, Mr. Toombs, where the Mason-Dixon line was the goalpost for formerly enslaved persons. That would be the border between Maryland and Pennsylvania. Because of the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, which provided all the mechanics for what was already enshrined in the Constitution, Article 4, Section 2, which made the provision for the return of formerly enslaved persons. Therefore, nowhere in the United States was safe after the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 for an escaped formerly enslaved person. So they had to go all the way to Canada, which had already outlawed slavery many years before. Garland ended up in London, Ontario, Canada, where he grew up to be a fine young man and received a calling to the ministry. He began serving in ministry in the AME Church. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 was repealed in 1864, and at that time, a lot of formerly enslaved persons who had taken up residence in Canada began to filter back into the United States, including Garland. Garland took up residence in Toledo, Ohio, where he became a pastor. The Emancipation Proclamation, of course, had great bearing on this happening, but also with the Emancipation Proclamation, the Union began to receive African Americans and other minorities into its ranks as part of the United States Colored Troops. Garland wanted to serve his country as a chaplain in the United States Colored Troops, and he began recruiting for the 54th and 55th Massachusetts regiments of the United States Colored Troops. They are famously immortalized in the movie Glory, which featured Morgan Freeman and Denzel Washington. Garland did not get the opportunity to serve as the chaplain of the 55th or 54th regiments of the United States Colored Troops. And so, undeterred, he went to the governor of Indiana and he asked him to consider raising a regiment of United States Colored Troops. And that's exactly what the governor did. And so Garland musters in to the 28th Indiana United States Colored Troops as the chaplain. And the 28th saw action at the Battle of the Crater, which is in Petersburg, Virginia. There is a memorial there dedicated to the service and the valor of the United States Colored Troops. This was one of the final battles of the Civil War. When Richmond fell and General Lee retreated to Appomattox, some of the first units to march into Richmond, Virginia, which, remember, was another country, was the United States Colored Troops. Garland was with them. Can you imagine what that must have felt like? You're marching with 1,000 of your comrades in arms, a free man, into the same town where you were sold as a slave. It was a wonderful day. Garland, who's then a major, must have been a powerful speaker because they asked him to give a speech, and he gave a speech on Broad Street. The celebration was remarkable. The president came to town. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, among the crowd of hundreds of people celebrating, there is a woman named Nancy, and she's looking for her son, Garland. And she asks the soldiers around if they know of a man named Garland White. And soon they are brought together face to face, and they are reunited. These are the wonderful gems that Truth Be Told seeks to preserve. This story is an example of resilience, perseverance, and faith from which we can draw strength from even today. You can visit the Civil War Memorial dedicated to the service of African Americans and other minorities who served in the United States Colored Troops. It is a monument to the soldiers and sailors, over 200,000 who raised their hands to serve their country. The aluminum panels contain the names of all of the soldiers and sailors, and if you like, you can find the 28th Regiment, and because it's in order, you can look and find Walker, Waller, Washington, Weaver, White. You can find Garland H. White listed among the over 200,000 names. Garland went on to marry and have a family. He had a short political life, and he lived out the remainder of his years. He is buried in Arlington Cemetery, and I had to go there to pay my respects to him and to salute him because as an honorably discharged E5 sergeant, he was my superior. I needed to thank him for his service and for his sacrifice. And if you notice, he passed away on July 5th, the day after Independence Day. He and the other over 200,000 men fought for the independence of over 4 million enslaved persons. We know about these stories because they were written. Garland wrote his story, but not just him. Many black soldiers could write and did write letters home to their families. You can find a compilation of them in this book, A Grand Army of Black Men. We hope that you've been inspired by this presentation of Major Garland H. White. This is a true testament of resilience, perseverance, faith, and triumph. You can find Black history anywhere because our history is everywhere.